What am I doing in a suit today? You know, a lot of people don't see me in a suit and they're like, Tenny, what are you doing in a suit? Well, I'm in this suit today because, you know why? Freedom. Prisoner for freedom. I don't get the chance to wear this suit often, and I have a few of them, and I just love coming to an event in a suit, but I have that choice today to actually choose what I want to wear, because I've spent so many years just being dressed up in the same khaki outfit. What is failure? What does it mean to be free? And what does it mean to fail? You guys all have failures out there? I believe we all have failures. Now, is failure defeat? Is it the end result of all your hard work with no gain? Is it the feeling of doubt where you think you didn't reach your goal? Sitting in this room, you may think that to be true, or you have conjured up some other excuse of what failure can be. Can we not associate it in a positive sense? Take a step back for one moment and see failure as a tool of success. Henry Ford said, "Failure is only the opportunity to begin again, only this time more wisely." Sorry about the slides. A little off. And David Jones said, "Sometimes doubt is the opposite of faith, but sometimes doubt can be a pathway to faith. And sometimes weakness is the opposite of strength, but sometimes weakness can be a pathway to strength. Sometimes addiction is the opposite of sobriety, but sometimes addiction can be a pathway to sobriety. Sometimes infidelity can be the opposite of fidelity, but sometimes infidelity can be a pathway to fidelity. And sometimes failure is the opposite of success, but sometimes failure can be a pathway to success. Now, would you say that the individuals you work with have experienced failure? Every day, the day-to-day working with? Now, based on individual opinion, there are numerous levels and categories that someone can fail at. It is human nature to judge those who have failed, or those who are less fortunate, even though each and every one of us, me, we have all failed ourselves. In reality and morality, it is not up to us to judge another. It is that person's insight within themselves to calculate if what they did in life to be a failure. Now, the goal that I see within NEKCA, because I've been down there so many times and I work so close with Jan and Joe and everybody else, mainly at the table right here, is that what I see within the program is that each and every one of you provides a means to an end, whether it is physical comfort, knowledge, or mental stability with the individuals that you guys work with. Now, for those who have failed in life, those who need help to see the successes of their failure and to keep continuing as life goes on, you guys are that bridge. You guys are the ones that help, and I see that every day. You know, Jan will message me, nothing about nothing personal, but just about life and how they actually get out there to help with those individuals to succeed. Now, I myself have experienced failure at a very young age, as Jan presented. And I was severely punished, for my crimes. But ask yourself, ask this, do bad people go to jail? Do they? What would be the difference? Do bad people go to jail, or do people that do bad things go to jail? Right, it all depends on how you're going to look at that situation. Because I've heard people say bad people go to jail. And that's one of the questions I want to put out there. Do they? Now, a little bit of the stats on that. 1 out of 4 people in the United States go to jail. And 3 out of those 4 people, once they are released, within 5 years, they will end up back in jail. Doesn't matter if it's county jail, the state prison, federal prison. 2 out of those 4 people, 3 out of those 4 people will go back. And that's why the recidivism rate is back up in, past 80%. So it's pretty insane. And that's what I try and do. I want to reduce that and to help others so that we don't have to keep going through that. And I actually shared something on Facebook. I know a lot of you, some of you follow me or not, but actually the difference between Germany prisons and the United States prisons, if you actually research that, it is insane. The numbers on it, what they're doing for vocational training, or what they're doing to actually sit there and help those inmates so they don't recidivate to come back, and how much time they put into training the guards and the staff there. The United States is very limited on what they can do or choose to do. So I just want to bring some awareness on that. But before we continue more down that path, I want each and every one of you to slow down, clear your mind, take a big deep breath. I want to have you guys imagine yourself alone. Imagine yourself alone. Now, go back to your house and picture your bedroom. And notice the size of your bed. Notice that comfy feeling you get when you can finally sink into that warm slumber of sleep. Cherish this feeling and embrace its quality. Now fall into a deep sleep. Time cannot be measured in this state, as all of life's worries have vanished, and life is no longer an emergency. Until this state of peace is interrupted by the urge to use the bathroom. Now, in a groggy haze, you stumble to go about your business, ever so slightly closing the door behind you. With a flip of the switch, the lights blind you with a fluorescent glow as you wait for your eyes to adjust. Once they do, what you see is not what you remember. This cannot be your bathroom. Looking down, the toilet is no longer porcelain, but metal. All of your belongings have disappeared, and there is no more vanity. In replace of your tub is a metal bed just wide enough to sleep one person. Placed on its surface is 4 inches of rubber-coated foam. But that's not the worst of it. In place of the mirror is a polished stainless steel plate. And in that reflection, the person you see you hardly recognize in a uniform of gray sweats. Startled and wanting to wake from this dream, you rush to leave but find yourself face to face with a thick metal door and a 6-inch security glass window with a prison guard staring you in the eyes. It dawns on you finally that this is not a dream at all, but reality. And where you were before, at home, was the real dream, and you have just experienced your first prison panic attack from the depths of your prison cell. Take a moment to reflect on the picture here today, and where I spent my life for the last 10 years. This is what we call home. This is what we go back to every day. Now, as I said before, at the age of 19, I was arrested, indicted, held in jail to be sentenced to federal prison for the next 120 months. Here I am still, an adolescent, a rebellious, drug-addicted party-goer, and I was raised right here in Lindenville, right over the hill. Now I feel and I know the hardships that the younger generation have been going through. I see it from their view. My experiences from my past help me to relate to some of the most intimate drug addictions and violence based off my past experience, and I can see what they're going through. I can still come back to this town and spend a weekend like I will this weekend here, and I can still see it in those individuals out there on the street. To me, not much has changed. Those shoes were my shoes as I walked that path with the best of them. All of you here today know that there's a heroin epidemic cursing the towns throughout Vermont, New England, and the entire United States. That is not a mystery. Everybody knows that. But what about the other struggles that have failed to be mentioned? The younger generations, they shun these towns, forever wanting to leave. I'm no different. I was one of them. I always wanted to leave this place. I saw no value here. I saw that there was no jobs. I did not want to work. I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to leave and get out. So, where is the value for the kids, young and old? Is this the truth, or is it the lack thereof? The causes to reasons are much more. A significant example is being emotionally distressed, fueled by external factors such as addiction, abuse, and misguided adolescence. This is what I call the AAA factor. All of you in this room know to some extent the power of persuasion and what it can do to the individuals throughout, say, for example, this town. But ask those individuals to whom you advise, let them now advise you unknowingly, and take with it a key to a door that may unlock the maze and break the cognitive cycle. One of the biggest influences I can relate to is fear. I've listened to this excuse countless times. Fear will stop a person in their tracks from reaching their goal. But if their only goal is to run from the town and they succeed, only to find themselves in the same situation over time, and they will again repeat the same vicious cycle. It won't change just because of the location. How do we combat this process? How do you, as a whole, within the NEKCA, combat this with the individuals you work with? Do you guys have set goals and plans in place for this? Let me explain. As I have said before, I have failed. All it took was an act no longer than 90 seconds to weave the threads of my life forever. All of my emotions have been working on overtime. The stress, the fear, the anger, and the feeling of being alone. I felt all of these emotions before, but never at this level. I had this false belief in hope. I had hoped I would get a lesser sentence. You know, my 10-year sentence was a statutory maximum, mandatory maximum. That means they couldn't give me over 10 years, even though they wanted to. You know, I had hoped the judge would see me as a human being and not as some bureaucratical statistic. But when you're dealing with the federal government, it's a little different. My hope did not become my reality. You know, till this day, still, I don't blame them. I don't blame them for giving me that 10-year sentence. I showed zero remorse for my crimes and actions. So it's not their fault. We have a saying, and I have it up here. Now, it's a little different from the card I actually read. You guys remember Lee had the card, you guys read through them? It's a little different, but this is what prisoners say on the inside. It's, we expect the worst, but we hope for the best. And we do that because if I was hoping and expecting to only get 5 years, and then I did get that 10 years, I'm going to be crushed. For us, it's about mental preparation. If you don't prepare for it, how are you going to react after it, especially when you're in a stressful time? You know, when that gavel slammed, it was as if I had never heard it. I had reverted deep into myself. I did not speak, and the only thing I felt was that tingling sensation crawling across my body. My family was there, they were sitting. I barely even looked at them, not from shame, but because I have reverted so deep into myself, I did not notice anything. It was as if everything just stopped and went blank. And for the first 2 years of my life behind those prison walls, I was a mess. The first bus trip in the freezing cold, I believe it was January. I was in a paper suit on my way to Brooklyn, New York. Shackled, feet, waist, hands. And we were going to the city. I grew up here. I wasn't prepared for city life. MDC Brooklyn, it's a maximum security transfer hub for the Northeast region. It has an east and west wing. It's 9 stories tall. It has a prison population of male and female exceeding thousands. USP Lewisburg. This place is creepy. The feeling of going behind those 40-foot walls and none other than the fog, only to see some of the creepiest brick buildings I have ever seen in my young imagination. But that did not compare to the interior of that place. Only thing I can say about it to really kind of describe it, it's dark, damp, it's old, it's creepy. I was 20 years old going through there. You know, all of this was new to me. I had to deal with it on my own. You know, I'm in there with people 3 times my age. Usually the people in there are around their 40s and up. You know, I lacked sleep for many nights. The first night here, I did not sleep one bit. You know, but I made a choice. Everybody has a choice. And you know what I did? You guys have any clue what choice I made? The right or the wrong choice? I chose the wrong choice. There's another saying we have. Are you going to do your time, or are you going to let the time do you? In those years of my new life, I chose to fight, steal, get tattoos, and be the prime example of a prisoner. And I did exactly that. I lived up to what I wanted to be. This was my life. I wanted to be a prisoner because this is what it is. I made that conscious choice. I was fully invested in prison life. I accepted my life for what it was and saw no difference from living in the outside world to living in there. Acceptance of your position in life is a key factor to live by. I have found it takes half the weight off your shoulders. But even if you accept your life for what it is, it does not mean that you are going to make the right choice in life. It wasn't until I hit FCI Raybrook and I was locked in a prison cell, that cell that you saw, I was locked in that cell for 6 months straight without leaving. At this point in time, it made me question my life, and it made me think. And when I moved to FCI Otisville in mid-New York, I had so much opportunity there, and I didn't see it. For the whole year I was there, I didn't see any opportunity. Looking back now, I can map the process of change and see the length of time it takes to take hold of an individual who is not receiving help. That is what you guys do. You guys are the bridge of help. It was not until I actually came back to Vermont to answer for my state charges that were pending that I realized that life had more to offer to me. This was another defining part and change the direction of where my life is going to go. The direct result of the cause and effect of this is my lesson had finally been learned. I experienced that mental shift for myself. Before I had no plan. I didn't know what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, jobs, as an individual. But now I did. I finally had a plan. And it was right here in St. Johnsbury. I had a plan for the first time. I chose to study the trade and art of cleaning. I know it sounds kind of ridiculous, right? A prisoner that wants to clean. But the reason why I chose this is because Otisville, they had a great vocational training program there, and it was all on custodial maintenance. And it was actually in January. It's one of those, this is what I'm going to do January 1st thing. But when I actually got back to the prison, I had a determination to finish the first step for the basic training on custodial maintenance through Cleaning Management Institute. It was proctored in from the outside, and the prison offered it. But really, I don't know how it came to be. I was sitting in Vermont one day in the day room, and it just clicked. It was just like, this is what I'm going to do. Maybe I was thinking about it, maybe it was subconscious, but it just happened. And I'm going to give a lot of credit to the way that I think now, the process of change, to the amount of books and the style of books that I've read inside. Now this is huge to me. I've said this online before, and even for you guys hearing me up here today, I was not a great student in school. I had to take learning lessons, at real young for reading. I was dyslexic. Things don't roll off the tongue as easy as it seems. So for me to jump in to read as many books as I've had, it's a great feat and accomplishment. Now before I had this mental shift, I wasn't reading self-help books. I started with a little Western, Louis L'Amour's. You got to start somewhere in life. I saw it to be boring. But the minute I really started to enjoy books, as you see up here, look, The Secret, The Power, The Art of War, 33 Strategies of War, The Art of Seduction, 48 Laws of Power, The Fifth Agreement, Knowing Yourself, Fear Itself, Taming the Mind, and of course, Yin Yoga. Gotta love yoga. I finally began to notice the shift in life, and everything can be related to what? Has anybody read any of these books? What is the main focus of a lot of these books up there that you can associate? It's a little phrase. Exactly. The law of attraction. The law of attraction, basically, is the power of your thought. Where you can keep a positive attitude and start thinking in a decent way to where you will be treated in kind. Is this not all of our goals? To have wonderful things happen to us in life? Mind you, life is not at all fair. There's going to be a lot of stuff that happens to you that has no rhyme or reason of why it actually happened to you. You don't realize it. But it will be your mindset in that present moment. What you choose, your choice, it'll define that moment. You can go two ways. You can go in a negative sense, or you can go in a positive sense. Those direct results, I do have an example for you. It's actually come across my life, this real example, and I know a person like this. And it is a very rare thing to come across a person like this. Have you ever met a person that will absolutely refuse to apologize for anything in life? Not because of ignorance, but because they actually choose not to. They think this apology is a weakness. I myself wholeheartedly disagree with this. I see an apology as being humble, not being self-centered. What do you think this simple act of kindness will do for you in life? And what do you think it'll do to take stuff away out of your life? There are only two ways it'll go. And if you are observant enough, While you are around a person like this, you will eventually start to question this person. Cause and effect, the simple act of kindness and truce. So for me, to finally start educating myself and using this knowledge was a huge step. And the choices that I made that would reverse the outcome while I was in a negative environment. But I knew none of this would come easy. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication. When I got back to the prison from Vermont, I immediately began to go back to school for cleaning. And a year rolled by, and I was certified as a supervisor teaching other inmates there the program and the hands-on training. And at this point in time, that is where the courses ended, and that's all the prison could provide for me. But I had many more years to do in my sentence, so I had to take it further. I couldn't just sit there and not do anything. I believe I had 5 more years to do at that point. So, being enthusiastic about cleaning now, I took it upon myself to research and find other programs out there that I could have proctored into the prison and take the test and actually become certified as a street certification and not some prison certification. And I always had this ambition because the green movement was really coming on strong. So I took the green movement and cleaning and I combined them. So my next point of study ended up being green environmental cleaning. Once I started learning this new technique, I couldn't stop. Still, to this day, I am still a member, an advocate, and a partner with Green Clean Institute. And to date, I've been certified as an executive Green Clean specialist. Now, I've been doing this for many years, and when I went down to Jessup, Georgia, to another prison down there, there wasn't much going on in this prison, and I really just wanted to enjoy the sun because we're down in Georgia. It's the Florida-Georgia line. You gotta enjoy the sun down there. But, I wanted to continue my schooling. I didn't just want to sit there, so I took it to a whole new level. Right here, hygienic milieu, sanitation of the environment. I wrote this book inside prison. Now, prison, we got all the time on our hands in there. I wrote this book in 2 months. It's around 174 pages. And this is my entire experience with cleaning and my learning and creating programs and teaching other inmates the art of green cleaning. I put it all in one book. It's got a lot of philosophy on cleaning. It's got a lot of breakdowns of the chemicals and everything that I have learned in one. Now, all of this dedication to these books and enthusiasms, it goes back to how I felt the years prior. Because I knew if I kept working hard, that my life was going to work. I was going to make it. And this is a constant reminder to myself over the 8.5 years that I was actually in prison, that it was going to be okay. Too many of the kids out here today lose their sense of direction. They do not perform their responsibilities or to their potential. When helping someone, how do we get these people to pay attention? I'm sure each and every one of you have had hard times trying to get, a point across to somebody and they're just not paying attention. They don't care. The trick and the goal is, how hard do you push these people? Because you can't ultimately force a person to pay attention. The best way I have found to do this, especially in my situation, is the power of example. Constantly, I am under the watchful eye of the probation department, my friends, my peers, everybody here today, my girlfriend, her family, everybody. Because of my unique situation where I'm still on federal probation for the next 2.5 years, constantly I'm being watched for anything, for drug use, for alcohol use, for association with other felons, for weapons, for anything. If I leave this state and I don't tell my PO, anything, there's so many violations that can be put upon me. And I also know that even those out there who don't verbally say that they're watching me, I know they are. So the best way I found to do it is to lead by example. Even if others don't agree for what I'm doing or the reasons why I'm doing it. Am I perfect? Are we all perfect? I am far from perfect. But what I can teach people today is that you do not need to be perfect. The people you are helping, they do not need to be perfect. If we try our best at guiding people with the right tools and examples, we have done our part. You have done your part. Whatever you do with those in your program, any type of help, you have done what you can do. It is then up to that individual to make the change and to make those choices. For me, prison was a success. There are not many out there who can actually say they enjoyed prison or that it was successful to their character, their morality, or anything to do with their life. They become bitter about the situation. I myself am the total opposite. I use my time in a way to build my character better. So I'm not bitter one bit. I am glad I went to prison. Anybody know the alternative? Me being a drug addict, having a lot of violence. What's the alternative if I didn't end up in that situation here? Death. And we see it constantly, don't we? Now, my drive to succeed carried on and exploded from the minute I walked out of those prison gates. With minimal help, I made a life for myself, never looking back and getting stuck in the past. I owe much, actually I owe more than much, I owe all to my family. Reintegration to society was easy for me because I chose to accept my life for what it was. Ultimately, when I walked across those gates, I've heard a lot of stories of people, they have anxiety and all this, coming back into the free world, this and that. When I walked out of that gate, I felt zero. I felt nothing. It was no different. It was just another day. And since then, I have taken advantage of every opportunity and resource that freedom provides. And now currently, on some of my newest adventures I've been going through, Convict Fitness. I just released this book about a month ago. And this book is geared towards other inmates. in hopes of helping them escape mentally from their own prison. Whether it be spiritually to release or physically. I've spent so much time working out and not working out. And inside this book, it actually explains through my story, and there's two other profiles that I introduced, two of my friends that were in the prison, and when we did create this book. And it explains our story about why we chose to work out in this type of fashion. This is a high-intensity level training, and I'll give you a quick little overview of it. Each and every one of the profiles in there, myself included, we tried the general workout of just push, pull, no really cardio or anything like that, and it becomes real monotonous for us. This is all just personal opinion of the types of workouts. And you become stagnant, you don't want to go to the gym. So we had to find ways to mix it up, to release ourselves so we're not stuck in this mental prison. So this book has 55 workouts that are all different and all high intense with many, many reps and challenges to beat yourself. This is not a book to beat another person, but to beat your own time in the challenges. And I also continued to put a lot of time into this project today. I have a page on Facebook called Convict Fitness. I promote this book, and I plan to do more in the future, geared towards maybe a little bit more for the outside world, the free world. But that's not the biggest thing I've done since I've been out. This one is a really, really big one for me. My biggest accomplishment to date is what I do for my fellow inmates. Going back into the prison, I volunteer my time for the Federal Probation Department in a program that is geared towards giving inmates knowledge about what they're about to go through. It is called the Road Ahead program. And you don't even know the honor that I have when I actually go in there and talk to inmates who are indicted and that are awaiting sentencing. And it pretty much goes like this. We're in front with PowerPoint, and on the other side of me, I am the only ex-prisoner there, other than the real prisoners. But on the other side are all the heads of the Berlin federal prison. So I'm a panelist that actually debates with them, which is pretty fun. Yes. We give detail about the code and rules and the way life should be in there. And to answer it in the most honest and true fashion so that those inmates in there can get a better understanding of what they're about to go through. Now, the questions can range so many different things. Anything from the commissary to, do they have to be afraid? What are the things that they are going to be or have to be watching for? What are the politics? What are gang politics? The diversity. There are so many factors in there, and so we bring that to light. And everything that I do for them is based off my experience. I strive to give those individuals the tools they need, even through book form. This book right here is by Andrew Tagon. It is called the Federal Prison Preparation Manual. Andrew was my cellmate in Jessup, Georgia. It is not a coincidence for us to be cellmates. He wrote this book. This is actually his 4th edition. The same time that I wrote my hygienic Melu book. We're both writing them at the same time. And the point that I want to get across to you on this is that it's another life lesson. And it is very crucial for you to be around the right people who are going to better you in every situation. Whether it be physically, mentally, and spiritually. At first, before I went to prison, I chose not to believe this. But I have learned this lesson the hard way. Humans are social creatures, and it is very difficult to get another human being to understand that the crowds of people they are hanging with, who are not good, it could rip them apart, destroy their character. And when you try to explain this to somebody, it means ripping them away from their so-called friends. You hurt their pride, and they become defensive on the subject. I know that from extreme personal experience when my family tells me, don't go hang out with them. They're not good. I say, whatever. Today, I'll actually listen, and I'll analyze who I'm actually going to be around. Now, until that so-called friend wrongs that individual, will they see the picture in a different light? Will that individual actually heed the warning? Again, your choices matter. And what you choose to do with those choices will define the pathway of your successes, no matter where you are in life. And now we've got right here, Prisoner for Freedom. This is the first half-hour speech that I gave you today. I want to thank everybody today. Big round of applause to all of you. I appreciate it. I will get you guys some videos. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. If you guys have any questions, I'll be here all day. Please come on.